know the song Sting?
Yeah.
You know Sting?
Yes, of course.
Has a song that he actually has also in Spanish, the album Nada Como El Sol.
Oh yeah, I know.
There's a song Ellas Danzan Solas about Pinochet.
Yep.
And
The
everybody,
military. The military.
Los Desaparecidos.
Oh yeah. I've heard about it. That you mentioned that situation in Chile.
Danzan con silencio angustia, danzan con sus amores invisibles, con sus padres, con sus hijos, con sus esposos. Ellas danzan solas.
Wow.
Very good Spanish, huh?
You know anything about Spanish? Well, on
No.
that part of the song.
No, I know nothing in Spanish, but I'm thinking about I have a girlfriend of mine, Danish. She's lived in Madrid for a long time, and I know a couple of people down there. So I'm actually thinking about going down there just for like a month and this and that, and then take some classes and this and that. I mean, I don't speak Spanish, but I think I could pick it up and just to speak a little, just to pick up girls.
Perfect. It's a good tool. Então, ábreme una página más.
Cheio aqui. Ora, toma.
Tudo bem?
Vê se está escrevendo. Como é que está?
Sí, sí
Tienes que
está.
ver.
Kiko.
Hi.
Sí, sí está, ahí está. Sí se está transmitiendo. One second, guys. Because some of our players made some few questions and I put a theme on the forum.
Yeah.
What would you like to ask us, Hansen? And after I ask a few questions, I'll ask some of them.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so just so I remind. Let me record it. Well, guys, first of all, thanks. It's an honor having you here. I'm a huge fan of you. I really like your type of game and I enjoy it. Every time I see you playing on TV, I enjoy it. Just so everybody knows, what's your background on poker? How did you start playing poker?
Well, I mean, I came in kind of through the back door. I started playing other games. I've always played cards in my family. My dad was a bridge player, so there's always been cards around. I've played a lot of backgammon, and then slowly I got into poker. A friend of mine took me to a card room in the US. I didn't know whether a straight beat a flush or the other way around, but I learned quickly. I became friends with Huck Seed, the 1996 world champion, who's also down here in Sao Paulo. We became friends. I learned a couple of tricks and then developed my own style. And when people ask, I usually say, like, I've been a professional poker player since '98. In '98, I'd been playing around for a couple of years, but not too seriously. But since '98, I started playing a lot, and now we're in 2010 in Sao Paulo.
Yeah. How's your overall experience in Brazil?
Well, the thing is, I've only been here 2 days. It's my first time in South America. I've only been here 2 days, and obviously we have a great venue here, Brazilian Series of Poker, 1,000 players, very great. The staff, the dealers, everything has been good. But unfortunately, I haven't been out in the famous nightlife of Sao Paulo. Not yet, but I'm sure I will. I still have like 3-4 days left, so I'll be around to check it out.
You are known as a very aggressive player. What's your key advice for a player who want to follow your steps?
Well, the thing is, I started out being very aggressive, especially in the beginning of the 2000s, 2001, 2002, 2003, because at that time people were playing in general way too tight. And that's obviously the best spot to be aggressive when the other players around the table are playing very tight. Nowadays, it's a different environment. A lot of great poker players out there. People are getting better and better all the time. And for me, because everybody has seen me play crazy hands on TV, they might have read my book, which also describes some crazy moves here and there. So nowadays I'm actually playing a very tight style because people have the impression that I always have the 4 deuce offsuit, and now it's much better for me to wait around for the aces, the kings, and the queens. But basically, the best advice I can give for somebody who wants to play the aggressive style is obviously you have to play a lot. You have to analyze your game, because it doesn't help just to be aggressive with blindfolds on and just raise every time. You kind of have to pick your spot. Sometimes you play aggressive before the flop. Sometimes you play waiting game before the flop, and then you become aggressive on the flop, or maybe you put in the big check raise on the river. So being aggressive means that you have to be aggressive all over the board. Sometimes pre-flop, sometimes on the flop, sometimes on the turn, sometimes on the river. So you kind of do a little bit of this and a little bit of that. If you just do one thing and you're only aggressive before the flop, people will figure that out and find a way to counter that play and probably end up taking your money. So you have to find your style, but the most important is to change gears, be aggressive sometimes at some points and sometimes at other points.
Perfect. This is a tricky question. What do you think that make a difference between you and the other players?
What makes a difference between me and the other players? I've actually always gone my own way. When I started playing professionally, which I say in '98, people always liked to play with me because I had a different style, a style they had never seen before, and I think that's actually probably still goes for 2010. People like to play against me because I do some crazy stuff that they don't do. But the thing is, which is also very important, if there's a lot of different things you can do as a poker player. I will make some mistakes, and you will make some mistakes. But I probably make some mistakes that you wouldn't make, but you're going to make mistakes that I wouldn't make. So it looks to me like you're playing bad, but it looks to you like I am playing bad, because we make different mistakes. So it's just important to be aware of that just because a player plays differently and you see a player make a mistake, it might still be a very, very strong player. So in that sense, because I play different, I have different ideas. I just played a tournament in London, World Series Poker, when I won my first bracelet, and everybody was expecting me to come out firing and raising, and every time I had the button, I limped, and people they didn't know what to do with it. So it's kind of like catching people by surprise, and I think that's a very important element. They weren't used to it. I don't think it's the right strategy to generally limp the button, but since people weren't expecting it, I did it, and they didn't know what to do with it. So in that sense, if you can catch your opponents off guard in poker, that's a very strong weapon.
Nice. Which is your favorite player? Do you have anyone that you look up to?
Well, I do have plenty of people that I look up to in tennis. It used to be Gustavo Kuerten, or Federer, or Nadal. In football, you have the Messis, you have the Ronaldos. So, but in poker, obviously there's some great players out there. I believe, and so does most of the rest of the poker playing world, that Phil Ivey is the best player. He's a good friend of mine, so in that sense I don't look up to him.
Because he's a friend.
He's a friend of mine, but obviously when I play with him, which I've done in many cash games and tournaments, I try to watch and see if I can learn some stuff, if I can pick up some good ideas, and I think that's also important. If you do play with players that are really good, maybe better than yourself, then maybe don't challenge them as much as you would against weaker players, but try to learn. You should challenge them sometimes because you will learn even more from that. But he is the best player in my opinion, and the best I can do is try to learn from it.
And which player would you avoid on one table?
Well, obviously, since I think that Phil Ivey is the best, he's the one I want to avoid. Obviously, there's different players, and there's also obviously an element of luck in poker. I've had very good results over the years against Daniel Negreanu. I've had pretty decent results against Phil Hellmuth, but that doesn't mean that Phil Hellmuth is a bad player. It doesn't mean that Daniel Negreanu is a bad player. I've had bad results against one of the online players. Oh my God, Clay Aiken. He's obviously a very talented player, but it doesn't mean that he's way up there and Phil Hellmuth is way down there just because I have good results against one and bad results. It's also a little bit of luck, and sometimes the style matches up better against other players. So there's player where I feel comfortable against. It's not because they're bad players, but I feel like my style fits well against them. There's other players I try to avoid making the big showdown against them because most of the times it seems like they've gotten the best of it. So it depends on the situation, depends on the player, and depends also sometimes if you're comfortable against that style of play.
Well, Gus, it's an honor. Thank you very much. A few words from people from Chile who's watching you. Hopefully we can have you a couple of years now. We have a nice tournament over there. We would love to have you there.
Well, I mean, like I said, this is my first time in South America, my first time in Brazil, here in Sao Paulo. It's a very nice event. I'm sure it'll get even bigger next year and the years to come, and I'm sure all the other countries, the Chile, the Argentina, and so forth, are going to have poker is booming down here in South America, so I'm sure we'll have some big tournaments, and I'm sure it's very nice in Santiago, so maybe I'll stop by.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Gus. Bye.